The next tab across the top we'll look at is the Assessment tab. And again, you'll see you have new tabs down here. The Assessment tab is very important. There's a lot of information that can be put in here. Each time you do an assessment, you'll want to add a new assessment. So you add. It's going to ask you for the time, who did it. I'll click myself here. Any comments you might have to write. This is free typing text field here. And then you go down through your primary assessment, your airway. Again, any place where there's a plus, there is more information under that. So if the airway is partially obstructed due to blood, I would click that. Whether they're breathing or not, circulation. Again, this is your ABCs. This is your primary assessment. So this is not necessarily what the respiratory rate is or what the pulse rate is, but are they breathing and do they have a pulse? You have your level of consciousness, and you can click on down through all these various things, whether there's alcohol or drugs suspected. Select the body type, whether it's a male, female, infant, child. You click that. You can then go into your head-to-toe assessment, which would be your secondary assessment. And you can go down through here. Most of these, if these are normal, you can click down through them by clicking WNL, which is within normal limits. If it was not assessed at all, such as a common thing for that would be the genitalia, you can click on that. And so you click on, you'll notice as you click down through this, the tabs turn orange to show that you've touched them. If you find something that is where the patient has an injury, you can click on it over here, such as on the nose, there's a deformity, and then I can, if I wanted to write a note about that, I could also do that as well. Can go back to the ears. Oftentimes we don't inspect the ears, assess the ears unless there's a problem there. So I can click not assessed. And then the neck is within normal limits, trachea. And you'll notice as you go down through this, it will also mark those sections of the body as well. You can also click on the sections of the body. So your abdominal assessment, if you don't need to do that, if you want to assess the lower legs instead, you can click on that. And let's say there's contusions. Again, you can write any kind of notes that you might want to write. There's also a list. It will show you in a list form. When you're done, wrong click. When you're done, you can click on that, and it will go back to the general interface. The next tab, you have impressions. So you would select your primary and secondary impression. If it's trauma, this one I think we had burns, will give me variety of percentages. Let's see, under 10%, it was thermal, second degree. Click OK. You have an other tab which would give you information such as the intent of the injury, the patient condition, whether it was minor, moderate, or life-threatening, and whether there was any alcohol or drug use suspected. For cardiac arrest, there's further information there that will help us define things for the CARES registry, which we submit our cardiac arrest data to. You can also go back, if you want to go back to the assessment and look at it, you can click on that. You can go back and change anything that you might want to change. And you can also, if there's something that you can't fit in a checkbox, you can also annotate. And this brings up a front and rear of the body that you chose. You have selections over here for color and width. Remember that when things are printed out on paper, they don't print in color. But you do have the option to select colors here. And you have the option to select width of your pen stylus. So let's say if someone had a large laceration to the leg, or maybe these are burns. So let's say we had burns to the lower leg. You can circle that right there, and again, with your pen, it's a little easier. I'm using a mouse. You could write burns. And then you can, at any point in time, you can clear it. You can undo it. If you made a mistake, you can take your eraser, erase this. And if I wanted to, I go back to my pencil, and let's say I want to make my burns a little lower, I could do that. And you can do the same thing anywhere over here. If I had burns, remember to keep track of if you're on the right leg or left leg. So if this is the left leg here, this is going to be the left leg over here. So if I had burns, I could draw lines to it if I wanted to. Click OK, and that becomes part of the medical record. At that point, you click Done, and you're back to the general interface.